That's right. So so I think you've been told anyway. We've got a combined sort of 10 minutes, and the councillors would have seen the slides, but by all means go through them as you choose fit. And we've just got a pretty grunty agenda today as well. So, yeah.
Okay.
The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. As you all know, there's been some legislation to mandate fluoridation, and that was the Health Fluoridation of Drinking Water Amendment Bill, which moved decision-making to the Director-General of Health, who's the sole decision-maker now. And all that the Director-General of Health has to do is to consider dental decay, so they don't have to consider anything else. And this is straight from the legislation, just says they need to look at the effectiveness of adding it with regards to dental decay and whether or not those benefits outweigh any financial costs. Now, the councils, if they don't do what the Director-General says, are liable for a fine of $200,000 and $10,000 every day after that. So it's quite a serious issue. 14 councils have already been given a directive. None of them have actually started it yet, but they presumably will be starting in the next year or so. It's these councils here. And another 21 councils have been advised by a letter that you will be getting a directive sooner rather than later, and I think it's actually due to come quite soon. In reaching the decision, I don't know where that went to. I don't know why it went blank. In reaching the decision, I don't know why the screen's going off. Anyway, yeah, cool. The Director-General of Health in the letter to the council has just said that they've looked at the Cochrane collaboration as far as dental health goes, and the Chief Science Advisor's New Zealand report in 2014, and the latest update from the Chief Science Advisor. So the Cochrane collaboration is what I'll quickly speak to. So it is acknowledged as the gold standard of evidence-based reviews on health science, and they did find that fluoridation reduced dental decay in children. However, they said that the results were predominantly based on old studies and may not be applicable today now that we have fluoride toothpaste. They estimated that 40% of children will have some form of dental fluorosis if you fluoridate at 0.7 part per million. In New Zealand, we fluoridate at a target of 0.85. This is a boy that I know in Wellington that has mild dental fluorosis, and what it shows is that his teeth didn't form correctly, and the only way you get dental fluorosis is if you have too much fluoride. So fluoride is a poison, it's not a nutrient, so that's not good that he's got dental fluorosis. If someone has a thin blue line on their gum, it means they've been exposed to lead. Nobody would turn around and say that that doesn't matter, that it's just cosmetic. We would actually be alarmed if that was happening. They also said no evidence that if fluoridation stopped, there'd be an increase in dental decay, no evidence that it reduced inequalities, no evidence that it benefited adults, and 97% of the studies were biased. Now, the Ministry of Health keep the statistics of the dental decay rates around the country, and they produce a spreadsheet every year since 1990, and you can find it on their website, on the Ministry of Health's website, and they split it into fluoridated and non-fluoridated. So this is, they do it for 5-year-olds and year 8 children, and for year 8 you can see that it's pretty much the same, non-fluoridated or fluoridated. There's more children these days without any dental decay. The statistics are actually better for the 5-year-olds, but and then for the number of fillings, you can see it's been tracking down over these years, and it's pretty much the same, fluoridated or non-fluoridated. Some councils are not happy about this. The Western Bay of Plenty met 2 weeks ago, and they've decided to request an exemption from the government. We don't think they'll get an exemption, but we hope that they will argue the case that actually the Director-General has not gone through all the legislation and properly looked at the pros and cons and worked out benefits versus cost, etc. The Grey District Council were reported in stuff to have saying that they're deferring their directive. So we're not exactly sure what that means, but obviously they're not happy either. and we expect there will be other councils around the country. Now, councils are still liable for harm, regardless of the fact that they may have been directed to do it. So in the Health Act, the local authorities have to protect public health within their district, and they have to take proper steps to secure abatement of any condition likely to be injurious to health. So Kane will explain the latest neurotoxicity studies, and I think it's going to become very difficult for anybody to claim that fluoridation is not injurious to health. Now, councils could join a court action. There's been a statement of claim filed at the Wellington High Court, and councils could choose to join this. We think that there's no cost, but we don't actually know. Someone would need to look into that. And if they join that action, then they could apply for an injunction to not implement fluoridation until after that court case is heard. And we know that's only about $2,000. And what we hope is that by the time this court case goes through, hopefully it will find that fluoridation is illegal, and also the Director General of Health and the Ministry of Health, etc., the Chief Science Advisor, will have had to have looked at these latest studies and presumably say that we just can't do fluoridation because it definitely is harming people. So, thank you.
Next slide, yep. So my name is Kane Titchener. I'm from Timaru. I'm flown down to speak in Ashburton last evening, and we've got a debate this evening in Timaru, so you're all welcome to come along to that. Fluoride is the new lead. I've spent 10 years working on this issue. I'm also on the community board up in Timaru Kiki. The National Toxicology Program is an inter-agency collaboration held within the US Department of Health and Human Services. It's a partnership between the National Institutes of Occupational Safety and Health, which is part of the CDC, the Food and Drug Administration, and the National Institutes for Environmental Health Sciences. They have been finishing a 6-year review of fluoridation. They had a meeting on the 4th of May and the 16th of May. We can go and watch those meetings. They're on YouTube. And they are finalising a neurotoxicity report. They focus on testing, research and analysis of agents to identify toxic effects, and they provide information to strengthen the science base. They inform decisions for the health regulatory research agencies to safeguard the public health. They released the review as a monograph, which is a written document and a meta-analysis. They concluded that prenatal and early life exposures can reduce IQ. So essentially what they found is 55 human IQ studies at low and high exposures, 52 of which show a lowering of IQ, 95% consistency in those studies, and a 7 IQ point reduction. Of those studies, there are 19 high-quality studies in terms of data, creation and implementation. 18 of those studies showed a lowering of IQ. The meta-analysis identified that there was no safe threshold of fluoride in water, and they recognised the highest quality studies of the high-quality studies was the Canadian and Mexican cohort data. They've got a range between 3 to 9 IQ points, and on average at 1 part per million there's a decrease of IQ of 5 IQ points. So that's why we say that there's a 3 to 5 IQ point reduction in New Zealand, because we've got a range of 0.7 to 1 parts per million in New Zealand's water supply. The American Dental Association wanted a disclaimer on the NTP report, but that was rejected by the NTP authors, as they'd already had this discussion around politics over science. This is a highly contentious issue. And they also came out with this highest quality studies showing lower IQs in children were done in the optimally, in commas, fluoridated areas, such as the Mexican cohort, as data that I explained before. The American Dental Association also wanted a third peer review. This research had been done by the top neuroscience organisation in the world. It's been peer reviewed multiple times, twice internally and 2 by NASM, which is the top science organisation in the United States of America. The NTP again rejected this notion, and they will be working to publish this research as quickly as possible. That's basically right now. This is directly from the NTP report, and you'll see that there's no safe threshold of fluoride in water. At 1.5 parts per million, it's not a very good pointer, but you've got a 6 IQ point reduction, and at 0.7 parts per million, you've got a 3 IQ point reduction. So at about a 1 part per million there, you've got a 5 IQ point reduction. That's why we say in New Zealand, we're lowering children's IQ between 3 to 5 IQ points on average in areas that are currently fluoridated. That's 52% of the country as we see it right now. This is a comparison between lead and fluoride, and you'll see the charts are remarkably similar at 97 IQ points down to 90 for an increase in the blood lead levels. I'm doing talks all through the country in public and also speaking to councils and community boards about this. The top scientists in the world are now raising concerns about it. Philippe Grandjean is the top mercury expert on mercury, and he says fluoride seems to fit in with lead, mercury and other poisons that cause chemical brain drain. The distribution of the reduction of IQ of 5 IQ points reduces by half the number of geniuses and increases the number of mentally handicapped or challenged people by 50%. There's an op-ed by those people that you can see that information. I don't want to go too much more into the detail, but I've got all the studies here that we can reference if you'd like, and really like to hear more questions from you about this. It's an extremely important topic. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, thanks, Mary and Kane. Questions, team? I've got two in regard to sort of the legal process. So, Mary, you referenced the Director General of Health, I think it was Health, it hasn't been through the cost and benefit. So are you looking at a judicial review on that process? Because and then separately you said the statement of claim in the High Court, and what specifically is the statement of claim on?
The statement of claim, we haven't actually seen all the details, we've only been told it verbally.
So New Health New Zealand is taking that statement of claim.
So who, sorry?
New Health New Zealand.
Oh, right.
So we're not taking that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and the lawyer is Lisa Hanson, so it would be best to contact her, and then you can find out directly. But they are challenging that the Director General hasn't actually done due process, I suppose.
Yeah. And Kane, what's some of the feedback you're getting around the country when you're meeting with councils and community boards and what have you?
Yeah, really strong feedback. So I spoke to Waihi Beach Community Board last week. They would like me to come back and give a longer presentation, and I've also spoken to Raglan Community Board. I'm going to as many community boards as possible, and if there's a team of us who are going to be speaking to the community boards, I've got hopefully got a remit that I'm bringing on Wednesday to the Timaru District Community Board to get the community boards behind this and working. If the councils don't take action, we're going to get the community boards to take action around this. So very, very positive feedback, because this report is a bomb going off.
So, in Mary, what's because you're right, I think we expect to, we haven't yet, but we expect a directive sooner than later, I would expect. What's your message? What are you wanting to? What's your message you want to leave with us, if you like?
Our message is that we believe we would like the council to take responsibility for this and not just carry out directives from the Ministry of Health. That this is a hugely important subject, because they're asking you to put a neurotoxin in the drink. They're telling you to put a neurotoxin in the drinking water, and we do understand it puts you in a difficult position, but there has to be a point where you say no to something as terrible as that, really, because it's poisoning. It will be poisoning everybody. That is what is happening, and the Ministry of Health they have not looked at this NTP. They haven't given us anything yet from this latest NTP. So we don't believe that they can justify this whatsoever. So we would hope that the council gets hold of Lisa Hanson, for starters, and gets hold of other councils around the country, so that you can join together, because otherwise you'll just be the one council. But I don't think you are going to be the one council, but to be talking with other mayors, etc., about what can be done, because it's this continuous centralisation, and you're just being made to do whatever they say. So.
Yeah, and we are talking with other forums quite regularly in that regard. And so just, I know last slide, well done as far as the debate tonight. So you've got both sides. It's a debate. It's up at the Baptist Church, isn't it? I'm popping up, so you'll see me up there I'm not sure if other elected members are. But look forward to, a good, robust discussion, I think. So, look, thank you very much. And so as far as next steps for us, we'll go through our agenda and we'll have a chat at the end in regard to what's planned. I'll probably let Mr Dixon speak to that, but no, it's in and happening, isn't it? Is that correct?
Yeah, basically we have received a letter from the Director General of Health saying that we should be installing fluoridation to start off in 2024, and from 2024, sorry. We don't know the precise date that they would enforce it. It does say from 2024. So we have provided provision in the budget to install the equipment in preparation for that date. And we can choose to turn it on or not. Or there is a risk in not doing it all because it is a directive.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it'll be interesting if any councils choose to push back on this. If you look to the example of Christchurch when they weren't happy around the rules around the city, the changes to the built-up environment, I forget what, and they decided no, we wouldn't abide by the new legislation, and actually there was some talk of commissioner with them, so it'll be interesting. You probably don't want to be the test case for saying no in that regard, because hey,
you were with Three Waters.
I know the difference. The difference is between what's in law and what's out of law. A little buffer of safety.
So it's likewise with chlorination. Some of the councils have pushed back on that and sought an exemption. There has been no success in that area at all. Everybody has to do it. So fluoridation, I imagine, is going to be very similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting debate though, and it'll be interesting the debate tonight, because it's just interesting around how you're going to achieve. So with, I guess my question is around fluoridation, and we can't answer that today, but are we, for those kids that have been brought up on Coca-Cola, is fluoride water going to help them, or would a child smile program, help more? I don't know the answer. I'm not the expert, and that's why it sits with the Ministry of Health and not local councils to make those decisions.
Put fluoride in Coke and we wouldn't have a problem.
Put fluoride in Coke. It might be the idea of the day. Councillor Piddington, I'm sure you've got something else to say.
Couldn't resist it so much. Just in terms of fees, I've been approached.
Thank you. So any further questions? Otherwise, someone happy to move? Councillor Booth. Yeah, thank you. Seconder. Councillor Burt. Any further discussion? Sorry, Zero. I'll make sure everyone's up to date. Just look up and give me a nod. Yeah, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. 7.2. Thanks for all the work, team. Really appreciate that. So we now go to consideration of urgent business items. There was none. Minor nature, there was one. We have public forum items requiring consideration. We just had a brief discussion before. I think I'll just move to receive the child smile report, and we'll add that. Well, it's not a report, sorry. Information, and we'll add that to the minutes. Can I have a seconder to receive and note that? Councillor Burt. Any further discussion? Anyone like to further discuss fluoride conversation? I think we touched on it before. No. Councillor Pye.
I'm keen to get a little bit more information and understanding, especially after you go to that debate tonight, which I would have liked to have gone to but can't. Because it does worry me. There's obviously two very strong sides to the story, and that I know we're mandated to do this, but if we don't think it's the right thing for our community, perhaps we should be pushing back. And I'm not saying that I don't have an opinion at this point. I'd like to be more informed.
Yeah, some more information. I will take my notebook and I will report back. Councillor Booth.
I just wonder, it'd be quite interesting to get the other side, which would be a professional practitioner's view such as Mark Goodhue or someone like that, because I know that they've got completely different views to what I just heard.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think Mark and Fraser, I think, are there tonight. So we had a mover and a second to receive a note. We already had them. We're good. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried.